Hey guys, I forgot. I said I would come live earlier today because I know everybody's got work on Monday. Until just a few minutes ago, I was working on some hernias to present to you guys. Somebody asked me on Messenger, could I do some hernias? And I got dived all up into that to see if I could figure it out. How's everybody doing? Happy Sunday, Kimberly. Good to see you. So I put together a bunch of, hey Jill, put together a bunch of hernia scenarios we could go over tonight. Adding some to the diagnosis code book because we have some that are going to have diagnoses with them too. So what is our A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and then J, and then K. So we need to be over in the Ks. K43 is where some of these hernias are at. K43, 2. K43, 2. What is that one? That one is our incisional hernia without obstruction or gangrene. Incisional hernia, non-specific one. Yep. We've got .43.2 incisional hernia. What about incarcerated? We got that 43.1 with I don't guess it matters. It's just incisional hernia, non-specific. Umbilical, incisional. With mesh, if we did it that way, could be. With mesh. Would be codes 494.9. 561. I don't know if y'all noticed one of my last TikToks I did about, it'll come back in focus in just a minute, how the OB and delivery codes are separated by natural delivery versus C-section, that kind of thing. And then that's the 94s. The 95s are C-section babies, and then the 96s are the combos. We try the natural way, it doesn't work, and then we have to try C-section. Well, hernias are kind of the same way. The 2 digits right here, the 95, These are all incision or open hernia repairs. And if it starts with or has the 96 in the first two digits, first three digits, but it's two digits, y'all know what I mean. Those are the laparoscopic. So the first thing you need to do is figure out, am I in the 95s or am I in the 96s? Am I doing an open hernia repair with a scalpel, surgery, or am I doing laparoscopic where there's two sticks with the cameras going into the body and I'm repairing with the cameras? If we're doing the cameras, we're doing the 96. If we're doing incisional, we're doing the 95s. That'll help out a whole bunch. Hey, Go-Kart, good to see you. Hey, Kimberly, love to see the butterflies. Everybody ready to get back to work? Gosh, my kids start school tomorrow. It just started raining here. This is our second day of the year. It has rained, actually, so that's super nice. It rained for maybe 3 whole minutes, and now it's already gone. It stopped. Still a little windy out there. Still some cloud cover, but I don't see anything that looks like it's full of water. We'll see. I'm just playing around and waiting for everybody to get on before we start some examples. Y'all got any questions? Let's see, this one's going to have a diagnosis code too. And it's going to be a K4090. What's that one? What's a K4090? K4090 is down here. We're under unilateral hernia without obstruction or gangrene, and it's inguinal. Did they say anything else? We had lower left. Inguinal, laparoscopic reduction of inguinal hernia with mesh. So this one will be an example for that. And see, like I said, we know laparoscopic is going to have what, 2 digits in it? It's going to have the 96 in it. So this one, I'm just putting in little notes around this diagnosis code for some examples that I'm doing today with y'all. We'll go over the questions in just a second, but it was coded with 4. Now we're going to have a 96, 50, LT, because it is on the left, with our K4090. And this particular code apparently already has the mesh included in it. The other one did not have the mesh included, so we had to add an extra code to it. But we'll go over that in just a minute. I'm just playing around, waiting on everybody to get in. I like to work on these diagnosis codes notes now that we're done with the CPT codes. Always neglect our ICD10s. We don't have very many on the CPC exam. I do have some malignant lesions for tonight too, which is fun, and an eye or an ear, and one of those L-spine things. Oh my gosh, those are so hard to code. Those L2, L3, L4, blah, blah, blah. We did some injections. How many do you code? Those are always confusing. And I have another emergency room situation where CPR or intubation is done. You need to know if you can bill it or not. I've been on a kick of those lately, showing you all the differences. So I got another new one for tonight. So some cool examples. Hopefully And just making up tonight for missing out on Friday night. We went just to Vegas to a water park and let them swim all day Saturday. I drove back home Saturday. I just drove there Friday night to get their haircuts done. And we went to like a real barber shop and had their hair cut. And poor James, he was showing his brother his new haircut. And his older brother said, "Oh no, your lines are uneven." And his haircut is totally uneven. I didn't even notice. Yeah, of course, the other one notices. And now he's making fun of him because one line on one side of his forehead is real low and the other one is really high. And he wears glasses, so it's really noticeable. So, no. But Travi's hair looks really good too. So they got haircuts and last minute school supplies for school to start tomorrow. 8th graders. Let's see. What's everybody else saying? Jill said hi. Go-Kart said hi. Annie said sounds good. Thanks for the shares. Thanks for the double taps. I think that helps. Let's see. Somebody says they're interested in medical coding. You already took a class and just haven't took the exam. Well, that's all you need to do is just self-study. Take notes like I'm doing right here in your ICD10, CPT, and HIPICS book, and practice with practice exam questions, which I'll do in just a few minutes. I'll show you some techniques. If you take the AAPC, CPC exam, which is universal in most of what a lot of the employers want, it is a multiple choice exam, 100 questions, and I'll show you some techniques to help you answer the questions more efficiently. We have a study group, 2 with tons of book prep and help. You just click on or download the Discord app, and we have practice rooms set up for all kinds of medical certifications, CPC, E&M resources, what to expect on exam day resources, CRC, COC, CPMA, all kinds of stuff, practice rooms that you can go into. Super handy dandy for sure. I'd give you screenshots of my notes or things that I think you could add or be useful for your exam. We even have other people sharing ideas. Practice exam questions are here. All kinds of stuff. Just be sure and don't pull any of the practice exam questions off this website and share them openly over the internet, because AAPC does sell these and they want to make sure that they're not just shared out openly. But we're allowed to use them in a study group, study situation for our own resources here on our study group. So this is super handy dandy. And if you ever wanted to take practice code, find study buddies, our Discord is super cool to find. Discord, you can either go to my website or even here on TikTok. You found me here. I do have the Discord ID number right there on my profile. The other way to get there is, of course, to go to my website, medicalcodingbyjen.com. Go to that social media tab right here and click right there that says join the free study group. And you just click that join now right there and it'll throw you in there. No one's going to sell you anything or track you or whatever. Give you a bunch of emails. And you can go to this part of my website without even signing up for sure. If you do sign up for the website, it's free. I do have a room that says CPT book prep. It's just like this one. I'll have pictures. It'll show you pictures of my book. You just click on the pictures and it'll give you instructions, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and then you can make your notes look like mine. That's a good start. Bring up today's questions. 7/31, last day of the month. Oh my gosh. We're starting August soon, guys. That means Christmas is around the corner, of course, because, man, Halloween is one of my favorite Halloween time. I got a baby born in Halloween right before, 2 days before, so favorite holiday. It'll be pumpkin time and everything. It's weird here in Arizona because we don't have any seasons. It's just hot and sunny all the time. We get like 3 or 4 days of rain a year, and that's it. So it's a little weird to get in the spirit of some of the holidays, but I still enjoy them. Most of the year's already gone. I can't believe it. It's going by so fast. So fast. Let's see. Hey Jen, I'm listening and I'm watching other videos of yours. Yay, bring them up on dual screens. There you go. Pause the screen, start making notes on what I'm talking about on one video and then do another one. TikTok did not save some of last week's live, so if you missed those, I can't download them and put them up. They had a big glitch that night, and it wasn't just me. I thought it was me in internet instability, but it was a lot of people, so they lost all their lives that night, so I can't download that one. But I did post up the 29th or whatever, 27th or something, just a little bit ago. So that one's up. Let me put this back right there. You can put some examples too on your CPT book. Where is that? Yeah, I need to go here and let me manage the videos and make sure that one did load up well, because I forgot to double check and make sure. Yes, it looks like it's okay and it finished rendering. Yep, submit. Good. Let's go back. Cancel. Okay, I want to save. Yes. And let's see. Did that video go up? Let's go. Go. Where are we going? Video, yes. So repeat live from 7/28 is now on. TikTok is asking me to start my event. Let me see if this works. There we go. So 7/28 was one that I was able to put up, and then the one before that was the 7/24. I just lost whatever date that other one was. I don't know if it was 7/26 or 7/27, one of the two dates I lost in there. We can't get that one back, unfortunately. I wish I would record them, screen record while I'm doing them, but it'd be a lot of memory taken up for sure. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the taps. Happy to help. Let's bring up today's questions. All right. So all of these are going to have something to do, I think, in the beginning with around the hernias for sure. And so I'm looking at these, and I like the 4/4s and I like the 20s. There's a difference between all the modifiers, which will make this probably a whole lot easier than even going to the CPT codes. So what's our 78 modifier? Remember, you've got a little cheat sheet in the front cover of your CPT book that is super handy. You can just turn to, and it's got most of the modifiers there that are just designated for CPT. And what is 78? I got 32 on. Let's see. Who knows what 78 modifier is? And when let's see if I can't show you. Yes, my tabs are still in the book because I don't recommend tabbing your books at all. That's just one of the crazy things that you don't need to waste time on. It won't help you during your medical exam. This front cover of your book, whether you got 21 or 22, has a list of some of the modifiers. I've added a few extra ones, but what is 78? That one's easier to get to than the appendix. Yeah, unplanned. So during your exam, if you're doing it online or in person, you can write on your test booklet for in person, or your online exam, you can use a dry erase board marker and you can write on your computer screen and it'll just come right off when you wipe it off with a towel or something. During your exam if you wanted to. Totally up to you. I have a touch screen, so it drew a line. There we go. What is 79? It's unrelated, right? So we can't write a U because this one's going to be unplanned. Maybe we have to write 2. We can write unrelated. Now we can write a UR. 76 is, which one is that one? Good job, Anita, Annie, and Sanchez. I know y'all's exams are coming up quick. I should have a betting pool for this year to see how many times the principal calls me next year for Travis. Like last year, it was 9 times. Somebody could win like my notes or something if they picked the right number for 8th grade. Yeah, we got repeat. All right. Repeat, and then 58. What's 58? It's probably a difference between all the 70s since they're super close, and probably an unplanned or, staged. Yep. Unrelated, because they both start with the unrelated or unplanned, and their numbers are super close together. Some of these cases tonight are going to be quite long and won't be able to be on the same screen. They're going to go on for days, but this one will fit. First things first is always check the bottom. Make sure they're wanting us to code what we think they want us to code. I see the words reopened. What does that mean? What happened? 2 days ago, having drainage from her wound became more serious, and now she was taken back to the operating room for reopening the original incision. So was that staged procedure? No. A repeat procedure? No. Yep, probably those unplanned or unrelated surgery. Was this related to her surgery? What happened to that surgery she had 2 days ago? She started having drainage from that wound, which became more serious. Then she was just leaking out all over the place. So would that be a repeat or an unplanned return? What do you think? Y'all think it's staged or not staged? So that's what somebody's saying. Somebody's saying 78. The two ends that the surgery did to remove part of whatever her intestines or whatever they were working on, they just weren't healing and didn't connect well, so they made new connections. I like unplanned too. Yep, unplanned. Good job. And it was easier just to look at the modifiers. If you included the CPT codes and looked for similarities there, like I like to do, I would have probably picked out the fact that A and C have the same answer, leaving D and B to go away. Then it would be just a difference between the 78 and 76 if you did the process of elimination with looking for similarities. So 78 is your unplanned, and your 76 is your repeat procedure. They did technically sort of repeat the procedure, but it was due to a complication, which is unplanned. So most definitely. Now, when you're at the correct answer, so let's think about our notes in our CPT book. We know our answer is this. Okay, 44,120. Let's go to that CPT code. Because what if they rewrite a question and do something else that's a 44,120? What if they have something similar in here in this description? 44,120. Where is that? I'm in the twos. 44,120. That is our resection of the small intestines with anamostasis, whatever that word is. It looks like Anastasia to me as far as the name. I was just seeing if there was anything in particular that had anything. They had bowel obstruction. We could put that diagnosis underneath this particular CPT code to show that that's a diagnosis. If you see it again, it might be this area. We've got bowel obstruction. I'm just writing that real quick. Bowel obstruction. Are there any capital letters of any fancy instruments or anything? No, not really. But they did call it another end-to-end anesthesia, whatever that answer is. And they do have that word in there, but they don't have the words end to end, which you could write right underneath that anastamosis is end to end, because AAPC will keep their same wording even if they write the question again in a different way. They'll keep that in there. I can yep. And we can add our 78 modifier near it to say that in case they had to go back in. Okay, we can write okay -78 mod. Was it 2 days or 3 days? She had 1 week ago she went under. Okay, and then 2 days ago she started having drainage. Okay, so 1 week post-op. 1 week post-op. Complications. So I'm just wrote, okay, 78 mod, 1 week post-op, and then bowel obstruction there. So kind of handy dandy. Keeps coming on every time I hit the wrong keys. I hope so. Thank you, Tone. I'm happy to help. Yeah. She actually had the surgery a week ago, but 2 days ago was when it started leaking. So she shouldn't be leaking after a week. I could see leaking after 2 days. So that was weird. But yeah, I could see after a week. No, you shouldn't be leaking. Yeah, that's bad. All right, let's look up these codes. Now remember, this is what I was telling y'all earlier. Just like in OB and delivery, those middle numbers are super cool because they're divided up by different headers. The 96s are laparoscopic and the 95 is incisional. So if you just know that, first off, we know that we just got to check out our question to see if we're doing laparoscopy or incisional. Look, laparoscopic's right there. So we know we're keeping the 96s. So we'll get rid of the 95 because that's incisional, right? Easy peasy. And then we have 2 with the same answer, and they just want to know, can we add another code to it? So probably, does that include mesh or not? The first CPT code, that 52. So let's go see. 496, that'll be at the end of the chapter, won't it? Yep, it'll be the last dang page. 496, somewhere in there, 496.52, since it's there twice. 52, does it include mesh or not? And 53 is incarcerated, strangulated, and the other one is reducted. Just to check, but I bet it's the reductible, right? Let's look for the word reductible. Let's see if our hernia can be reducted. And did they use any mesh? They did use mesh, was tacked down. So we see that. Laparoscope was inserted into the area and there was a small, tiny defect was visualized. Doesn't look like it was, looks like it was just stuck to something. Peritoneal, it doesn't look like it was incarcerated or strangled at all. It was just a bulge out. I don't see anything that would make me think it's 53 at all. So I would get rid of that one. And I just need to know, do I need to add the 58 or not, guys? What is that one? Is that the 58? The 9568. 68 is what I meant to say. I keep saying the wrong thing. This one has a do not underneath it. You can't forget that. Your do not for 49652 says do not use it with 49568. So we can't even use it with D. Y'all are right on that one. So we have to use it with B. So we know B is our answer. It does include mesh, apparently, because mesh is listed down here. The CPT code descriptor does not say it. Well, it does say it says include mesh on insertion when performed. So make sure you have that underlined so you see it. double underline it, maybe even write in mesh. It includes mesh, so you don't forget. Also, make sure your do nots are marked with double red lines. And other than that, they didn't tell you about it not being incarcerated or strangulated. All they said was it was a small defect. So I'm going to take that word right there, those words, and write that underneath that CPT code descriptor, because when it says reductible right at the end right there, I'm going to put equals small defect. Small defect. Anything else worth a darn? There was an what is that word? Otium, which was adhered to the hernia. This was delivered back to the peritoneal cavity. Small defect. I'm going to write that O word there. Small defect with OMENTUM adhesion. And that way I know all that goes down. Mesh included. So we just wrote small defect, Otium adhesion, mesh included. Of course, we've got mesh marked right there too. It's reductible, and we've got our do nots double underlined in red with red stars. So we don't use that. No 68 for sure. I really wish. I love my Samsung phones, but I just hate Bixby. I don't see anything else that we got tow cars, but that just means cameras. So in case y'all, have never seen those words, if you ever see the word tow cars, means laparoscopic, because sometimes they don't even tell you that it's laparoscopic, but they'll say that they introduced tow cars. That means cameras. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else worth a darn. Okay. Here's an anatomy question for you guys. Super easy one. But it's a good one to have, so you know that you have at least all of these written down. And then if you don't have those written down, you can write them down right now. And then you can put your definitions down. You've got some room right here on the last page right here with the hernias. I have, you need to know the age of your patient. You need to know if it's initial or reoccurrent. You need to know if it's reductible or incarcerated or what have you. And then you need to know the location if you're going to bill. Also, assume initial is your default if it's not stated. That kind of stuff. Then you can list out the different types of hernias with their definitions right here. You got plenty of room. And here's the 4. Every time. Okay. So B again is your answer for this one. So you can write down all of those. And be sure you know the definitions of those. What page was that? Oh, I'm on page 402 of the 2022 CPT book. Still at our answer for the previous question, which was the 49652. You're welcome. Little rapid fire here. All right. We do have a difference between the 95s and then the 96s. 96s are your laparoscopic, and your 95s are the incisional or open or something like that. Yep. So we just need from our question, are we 95 or 96? So we're going to check it out real quick. Patient is in the ER for incisional repair. I don't see anything that's listing laparoscopic, so I'm going to get rid of the 2 down at the bottom, right? And then let's go see what our differences are on the 66 and the 61. So the 95, 61, they're on page 401, and the 66, okay? The 61 and 66 are both children codes. You have to look at the mamas to see what the differences are. So one's initial and one's reoccurrent. Do we know if this is initial or reoccurrent? We have no info. So remembering our guideline that if it's not noted, if it's initial or reoccurrent, we're just going to pick that it's initial. So it has to be the answer with the 61, right? Yep. We got to have our initial, because that's the only difference. Makes sense? Y'all got those under that 61 and your 65 and your 60. Make sure you have those starred or underlined initial and reoccurrent words, your second words in your CPT code descriptors. Those are your key differences for sure. On those first off. Thank you, Mel. I'm happy to help. I think it did me some good to teach. Maybe I taught Travis, for so long, and I had to figure out how to teach him differently, because he can't just read the curriculum and understand it. He can read it and read like Shakespeare, nobody's business with the characters and voices and stuff, but comprehension and knowing what he just read just flew right out the door. So I had to figure out different ways of trying to get him to understand the material, and I don't know if that helped, but I just know that when I took that AAPC course that they gave out for free, I thought, there is no way in Hades I could learn anything from that course. And if I'd paid $3,000 for it, I would have been so upset. And I thought, that's shameful. I mean, how do you learn that way? I don't know. I just felt passionate about it and made a TikTok, and I thought, there's an easier way. You go to the questions. You look at those answers first and let the answers tell you what the question, what to look for in the question to find the answers. That's how you pass. No worries, Anita. So we've got the 2 different codes. We've got the 60 and the 65. They're the mamas. Our differences are the 61 and the 66 on the question. The second wording in the CPT code descriptors are initial and reoccurrent. That's the most important thing. It's initial means this is the first time we saw this hernia on this patient in this place and position on their body. This is the first time they're getting them repaired. Just because you have a hernia repaired there doesn't mean it won't come back. There's, if you keep straining and you end up having the same lifestyle as whatever happened before, or genetics that created the hernia in the beginning, that mesh and stuff can fail, and you have to go back in and get them repaired multiple times. So I know that if they go back in and have to repair it in 1 year, 2 years down the road. Not post-op like our previous patient that had, complications after a week, but after, 6 months or whatever the post-op period is for this. If they have to go back and re-repair it, that's the recurrent. So that's your differences between those two mamas. But we were supposed to be looking at just the two children, but you don't get enough information there because the only difference is whether it's strangulated or not. So we always have to look at our mama codes to see. Mama code is the same as the child code up into those parentheses that are right there. This mama code is reductible, but her child is incarcerated or strangled on that particular code because what's after the semicolon is different. A lot of their courses and even teacher-led courses are taught like read to, like you're just read to and told this information. It's not very interactive and it's not explained why the answer is this. They just say, go look at your guidelines, you'll see why. Or, just spoken to. And I can't learn that way either. I can't. I don't know why. I couldn't learn in a classroom full of students when I was younger. I even did first grade twice, y'all. I was not some smarty pants. And they tested me, but when you pulled me out of there and they put me in front of a teacher one-on-one, I tested and excelled higher than anybody else, was top 2% of the United States. And they're like, I don't know what happens. When she goes to the classroom, maybe she's just a social butterfly and can't pay attention or doesn't want to pay attention. But it wasn't that. I couldn't learn like that. I've had to figure out how to learn the material on my own from a very young age because the schools never knew how to do anything to me. Some people can learn like that, just read the material to them and they know it. I can't. I don't know. I have to have my head in it and have it explained in a different way. And I don't know if that helps. South Louisiana. I went on vacation in Louisiana with my mom one time. I think I was 15, 16. My mama loves that state for sure. We got our car towed. So parked in the wrong spot, but it was a fun adventure. It didn't bother us none. It was just a neat because we got to see more of the city that way. We had to walk. It was great. We had a good time. She was raised in New Orleans. I remember being traumatized because, of course we went down Bourbon Street and there's these adult entertainment facilities, and there was this lady sitting out there and she had incredible pec muscles and she could raise one breast and put it down and then raise the other breast and put it down without using her hands. I thought it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. I'd never seen anybody independently move those things before. I was 15, And I said, Mommy, look. And she says, oh, that's nothing, child. I can do that. And I fell out. I was like 15, turned all red. I was like, no way, Mom. No way. Oh my God. Yes, that was a crazy experience going to New Orleans. I love that city. Got my palm read by this lady in a back alley somewhere. And still to this day, I remember what she said, and everything she said came true. So it was fun. My mom's a New Orleans legend, professional musician. That is beautiful. Oh my gosh, my oldest son can play anything. Wind, instruments, percussion, strings, piano, you name it. He can play anything. And I've just marveled at them. I could never read music or understand it. It just was one of those things that never even thought to even try to do. It's amazing to have a musician or a singer in the family. This is wonderful, Mel. So can we write any notes beside this one? We know our answer, right, is our this one includes 2 codes. If we were going to code it, because we have to add our mesh. So if we're at our 61 code, which is our answer, we need to write down that we can add, okay to add 49568 if includes mesh. Because there's no red do nots, right? Four, 9, 5, 6, 8. But what I was saying was I hope that my little different way of teaching might change some of the ways some of the other teachers are teaching, and they might see the benefits for getting their students taught this way, question by question, why and ifs, and what guidelines are tied to those questions, and how they can improve their knowledge by making notes in the books to remind them the next time you see it. You learn from experience and seeing things visually. And, oh yeah, I did this one because it includes mesh, and I made the notes at the time, and you just remember that. And maybe we can change the way medical coding is taught, and maybe it won't be so elusive to everybody. For sure, I hope. And we can add in that K43 also with it, with a 2. 4 are incarcerated incisional hernia repair with mesh. Super easy. And incisional. Incisional repair. So I just added those down beside it. I'm good to go. Here's another anatomy one. Which type of hernia can be corrected with manipulation, meaning push it back in? Does anybody know that one? Bye, you girl. Bye, you girl. Each number represents a number or a letter. Well, the whole number in and itself represents a whole surgery. So we're taking words and we are technically turning them all into numbers that can be transmitted and submitted to protect HIPAA and to make billing and coding and tracking data a whole lot easier, for sure. I was just writing that in my book about the different types of hernias. Reductible, indeed. Oh boy, here we are again. We've got our 96s, right guys? So we know that is what? What's our 96s? Those are what's our 96s? Hey, Connie. It's so much fun. Ooh, I got into a different screen. That was good. Laparoscopic, that's good. Yes, laparoscopic. So we have we only have one laparoscopic, right? No, we got another one right there, C2. Oh, I hate it when they do that. Every other one. Ugh. And then our another one is open or incisional, whatever you want to say. So let's go check from our question real quick. Are we using a scope? cameras? We are. We got Lapis. So we're going to get rid of the 95s. That will so help you if you can just remember that, because now you got a 50-50 shot getting it done, right? So all we got to do is go look up our differences between the 50 and the 54. The modifiers don't mean nothing since they're the same on every single one. So turn the page. We're back on 402. And gosh, I hope this records. 49650. That's a mama code, so love it. And then our 54 is a mama code too, so that's super handy dandy. So what's our differences between these two codes? What's going on? We got inguinal hernia, and then the other one is incisional hernia. And all we had to do was look for one more word. Let me get this tight. There we go. Right here, inguinal goes with which number? The 50 is inguinal, and then the 54 was incisional. Yep. So you know your answer is your 50. Is there anything we can pull here? They did left and right, so we can do bilateral. We can add that modifier over here. So if, or we can write okay, 50 mod, if bilateral, if bilat. Anything else they got in here? Not 100. That's it. That's really is the only difference. Just make sure you have inguinal underlined or written underneath your CPT code 50 and 51, because those are the inguinal, when the 54 is incisional hernia. No mention of mesh or anything listed. And you can put down there, okay, to add 50 if bilateral. Yep. Anesthesia, probably for a hernia, huh? Let's go see what our differences are. We've got two with the same. Oh, those two are the same. And then we've got another one that's the same. So we've got them divided up into two sections. So let's go see what our differences are between the 3-4 and the 3-6. So 0-0. We're way in the front of the book now. 0-0-8. 3-4 and 3-6. They're both mama codes. They don't have any children. They do have some they both have do nots. So I see right away we can't use either one of these, the 54 and the 56. Yep, we can't use them with the 99100 code. Y'all see those do nots? So that's super helpful. We can get rid of those two. We know right away it's just going to be the code by itself. So are we doing they're both hernia repairs. They're both lower abdomen areas. One's younger than 1 year old, and one has gestational issues, right? Ooh, very interesting. Infants younger than 36 weeks gestational age. Well, they're still under 1 year of age. So our 34 code is a not otherwise specified code, which is usually non-specific, NOS. So that just kind of tells you a little bit that that's not specific. They're both for children under a year old, but specifically the 3-6 is younger than 50 weeks gestational age at the time of the surgery. Very interesting. Very cool. Let's see what's going on with our kiddo. And we are 11 months old, and we don't have any information about their gestation when they were born, if they were premature or anything. They didn't say anything. And since there's no mention of any gestation being an issue or prenatal issues, then we're going to go with our non-specific one then, right? Yeah. Another B. Lots of B answers tonight. Yep. Is there anything that we can add to this one? Otherwise healthy. They use that term to let you know it's not the gestational baby. So I would put that down as an AKA term for your 34. AKA otherwise healthy. $11 months. Good. And that's about it. There really isn't anything super handy dandy there. But I like that otherwise healthy. That's just kind of like that key term that they're letting you know there's no issues with gestation, and it's just the generic one. So that's cool. Yeah. All right, some of these are going to get longer because they're cases that ended up being around the hernias. So we've got all 9 6s. So we're back to the 402 pages, right? So we don't have the luxury of being able to delete 2 of them right away. So let's get back to our 402. This one's probably be a little bit more challenging, but that's okay. We'll get it. It's just not going to all fit in the screen because it's going to be longer case. But we're still going to keep in mind our differences are just the 50 and the 51 and the 52. We have 2 with the same answer, so that intrigues me right away. I would be more focused on the 50 since it's down there twice. The only difference is the diagnosis code. Would we use a 9 or would we keep it at a 2? Might be easier to look at the diagnoses than the CPTs, but I want to show y'all the CPT. For the actual exam, since we've got 2 that are 50 and 2 with the same diagnosis, I would think it would be C, if that makes any sense. I'm just looking for association of numbers. But what's the difference between 50, 51, and 52? 50? Inguinal, non-reoccurrent or reoccurrent, and our 52 is tons of them, but it's reductible. We do have there's some do nots under the 52, but not under the 51. Our 52 says you can't use the 68, but our 58 does not have that distinction. Our 51, I mean. And our 50 doesn't have that distinction. So it's interesting. All right, let's see what we're doing. We are doing inguinal hernia lapar with a mesh. And we're doing a reduction. I back this off so y'all can read the rest of it. I don't think there's anything in this that's going to make it a difference for you. Here's our procedure. You might be able to find some nice, neat words that we can add. Anterior, I like that. Mesh was placed. Tailored and, yeah. Patient was returned to the recovery room in good condition. Love it, love it, love it. What tolerated procedure? What would we code for this one? I don't think there was anything defining in that, none of that we really needed to read anyway. Rectus muscles. What do you guys think? I got a vote for D, which is our 52, not our 50, that is down there twice. I think the differences between the two 50s and being that diagnosis code difference is where you really need to go. If we do go to our K4020, we do have bilateral inguinal hernia without obstruction, gangrene. And then our 4090 is unilateral. So are we bilateral or unilateral? That's all we needed to know. Because this one is, what was it again? Our 20 is bilateral. And our 90 is unilateral. Did we only do the left or the right? I'm checking out the MZZ Jones said hi. Eliminate D. Yes, I agree. We can eliminate D. $51 was probably, it's not reoccurrent, right? This is the initial. Perform a left inguinal hernia repair was made. Now sometimes they get in there and they find it's bilateral once they're in there, but we can get rid of that one too. There's our cameras mentioned again, was placed in midline ×2. You can't diagnose bilateral with the left modifier either. So that's a pretty quick and easy way to to not know, to not even have to worry about which one you would do. Just knowing that this is bilateral, but your whole modifier over here has got just left, 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 left. You know you didn't do right and left. You know that diagnosis wouldn't go there either. So, super easy if you think about it that way. No worries. Yeah, the 50. And this is where it's super handy dandy to see their questions, because 50 and 51 don't say anything about including the mesh, but the 52 and 53 do say they include mesh, and we know we don't use that 68 modifier. But just like with our OB, where's that OB thing? Where's that OB thing? We were working in that area last week, or the week before last. There is a section in here where if you're in, like on page 453 of your OB, and somebody has had a miscarriage, all these down here on the miscarriages say they include the dilation, evacuation, and removal of everything. And they say it over and in curette, dilation and curette. But the very first codes way up here at the very top, right here, it says treatment of that. They don't say anything about dilation, curette with evacuation in them for some reason. It's just left off. Why? I don't know. But it includes all that too. So does this one. That's the code 12 and 20. They all include dilation, curette, and evacuations. They just don't write it in the CPT code descriptors like they do down here for some reason. I don't know why it's written here but not written in the very first codes of the set. I think this is the same way with these codes here in hernia, that in Herniaville, I don't know why the very first initial set of CPT codes under a particular section just have such small CPT descriptors, and then the ones coming after it have more information, but they all, under that one heading, do all the same things. Silliness. There's so much inconsistency there. But yes, A is our answer on that one. No, the 50 means, that's bilateral, right? 50 means bilateral, doesn't it? Yes, bilateral procedure. 50 means bilateral. But if it was a modifier, not that code is unilateral. But that LT lets me know that it's unilateral, and our only diagnosis that's unilateral is our 90. Our other one with the 20 was bilateral. I do too, when they don't follow their own rules. I do too. I know. Like the nursing home admission with an ER discharge, or an office visit 99232 or 215 with an ER admit or in initial hospital admit. I hate when we get those questions and then we'll get a guideline question later on that says you can't, of course, bill those two in the same day. It just depends on the scenario presented to you in front of you, and you just have to pick the best answer. And sometimes I find their questions have two correct answers, And I hate that about that because they're both technically correct, but you got to find the best of the two answers, and I hate those. That's the worst. I get frozen in fear over those kind of questions because I can only see things as correct or incorrect. I don't see them having any more correctness than the other answer. It's just my brain does not work that way. So those were always the hardest ones for me when I was a kid. We've got our 95s for our next one. And then we have one lonely soldier that is a 96. 96 is laparoscopic, and these are incisional. Helps a whole lot. Let's go find that out first. Looks like the abdomen was entered into with a midline incision. No, I don't see any tow cars, right? There's no cameras. Yeah, so we're going to get rid of our lonely little laparoscopic one. We know we're going to stay here. You know we've got the same answer down twice. The only difference is if we add the mesh code or not. So it's probably A or D. We just have to figure out if we can or can't use that one. And I forgot to add notes to the one before it. We can go do that. Let me get back here to this one and finish this one first. Our 60, yep, our 60 is, if we are going to do mesh, we can add the 68 extra code because our previous example has its child adding the 68 CPT code. Because we just did that a minute ago with the child. But now we're talking about the mama code. So since we know we can add that to the child code, then we know we can add it to the mama code too. So if mesh was done, we are going to add that code. That's why having these examples written out like this, when you do those practice questions, takes all the guessing game out of this. Whether you can add mesh or not add mesh. Yeah, super handy dandy. So let's see, did they add the mesh? I thought I saw mesh. Yep, there's a large plug of mesh was placed. So we will be adding in so we know our answer is probably D, right? What do you guys think? Let's see. Yep, we got D, so we can get a color. So we did a V word hernia, good, which is on our mama code. We did that one, repair, and midline incision. I love it. I love that. We can do midline right above the incision. Write the word midline right there. Kind of handy dandy. And then with mesh. Okay. I meant to write plus sign. 4, 9, 5, 6, 8, 4, mesh. Yep. And we've got that one written down. Now the one before, which was the longer one, the answer was just the 50. They did mesh with this one too, right? Mesh was tailored and placed, but there was nothing on that CPT code descriptor to say that mesh was already included. So 49650 includes mesh. Write that underneath that CPT code because they don't have any do nots underneath it. And they should, like the 52 and the 54 and the 56 does. But why they didn't write it under the 50, I don't know. And I could foresee that AAPC would pick that 50 and 51 for sure, and try to add mesh to it and get you to pick to add the 68 to it, because it actually doesn't have that do not underneath it when it's 52 and 54 do have the do nots. So that seems likely. So I just put includes mesh, because these have the do nots and it says includes mesh. This one doesn't, but clearly we got an example from AAPC where they're saying mesh is included, and our answer is that. So yeah, I could see them doing that. So we're going to keep that up there. Tow cars or cameras. They used a balloon distender, which is neat. Anything else worth a darn that CPT doesn't have? They did a reduction. Does it say that? A reduction of an inguinal hernia. Above repair, I'm going to write an AKA reduction. Because it doesn't say repair, it says reduction. Reduction. What else we got? Inguinal repair is on there. That's all in there. Just a balloon is kind of neat because they say the balloon 5,000 times. They do have a rectus muscle. And balloon, and balloon, and balloon, and balloon. Rectus muscle. I just like to know the body part involved. Sometimes that helps. Rectus muscle. I'm still put the note on the white space, not over their printed words. They don't want you doing that. Just write tiny. And balloon dissector. Dis. Not that anybody's going to be micro managing your notes. You can write whatever you want in your book. I'm just telling you the most exact 100% perfect way to do it. They're actually not going to go through there and micromanage your notes. That's cool. That goes with our 50. Our 50 right there. Because that one's confused. I mean, you don't know that mesh is included with that one. They don't have any do nots for some reason. I don't know why. Yes, it drives me crazy too. Just like with those dilation and curettes with the OB procedures. All of that is still included in all the first codes too. It just doesn't say it. I don't know who writes these books. They are... they do have positions open on the AMA committee that writes these CPT books. But that's so much work. Oh gosh, I don't know. All right. How much from the course do you actually use in the workplace? I mean, like knowing the different types of physicians, the nurse practitioners, residents. They teach you some of that kind of stuff in lingo. You know, what's an outpatient surgery center versus a inpatient surgery center. There's a lot of vocabulary terms in lingo, but from the course that you would use, man, you just need the lingo and the vocabulary words so you can communicate with other employees about, okay, was this done in a surgery center or was this done in the hospital? Other than that, mostly the doctors pick out the codes and you verify that they have enough information in the chart to quantify using that code. So if Doc says he did a 99214 in the office to see a patient, and he said they had a cough today and their lungs sound clear, and he wrote them a prescription of antibiotics and sent them home. He did not do a multi-system review, like look in their ears, listen to their heart, check their extremities. You got to do at least, 7 systems. So if he didn't chart enough, or she, then you send the claim back and say, dude, you got to write down if you listen to their heart or some other parts, or I got to down code this down to a 212 because you did one self-limiting, office visit. So that's what you'll be doing. The doctors code everything. You just got to verify that they got enough stuff in the chart documented to verify that they're good enough, that is documented enough so that you can bill that level. That's basically what you'll be doing, because all these EHRs, the doctors just click check and say what they want to pick and then send it to you for verification if they forgot to add a modifier 50 or something like that, or a left or a toe like a T1, T2, whatever, or eyelid, E things they might not do. And then based off their insurance plan and contracts with that insurance plan, groups IDs, and Blue Cross Blue Shield doesn't pay for anything, but Aetna might, or United might. Sometimes you can't bill an office visit for certain things. You got to follow the health plan's rules, so those are the other things you got to deal with. But it won't be nothing that's in that course. And you can't learn that unless you're on the job. And it's nothing that you can take from one job to another one, because each hospital or doctor's group signs different contracts. So they'll teach you. It's easy. You'll get you an Aetna health plan cheat sheet and then a Blue Shield or Blue Cross one. And, always look in the patient's history, see how they billed it the last time. There'll be a ton of claims in there, or do a claim search for a claim for a CPT code that you billed before and look how they billed it on another patient if that patient has never had that before. So, yeah. Thank you, Twinkle. But not a lot, I don't think. Gosh, I don't know. I'm not a coder or a biller, so I'm an auditor. So that's really kind of hard for me to talk about, but I can only imagine that none of it is real helpful. You just need to know the lingo to talk to the office staff. You do need to know things like you can't bill, your guidelines. You can't bill, an office visit if your doctor says, I'm sending them to the hospital or the ER because I can't handle them today, but I did an exam and took a history from them, and I made a decision to send them away, and they left to go to the ER, or you called an ambulance. You can't bill that office visit, so you know that you just chunk that claim and get rid of it. There's certain guidelines you will pick and choose from that you need to know, like if a patient's was poisoned, if the doctor did it, it was one of their prescriptions they wrote and they took it correctly, then, you need to know that the symptoms go first. That's the first diagnosis code, just in case he flip-flopped them or she on the charge sheet and put the drug down first, one of those kind of things. The drug goes second in that situation. But if the patient did it to themselves, they took a bunch of mushrooms that they got from a party or something, then the drug goes first, the T code, and then the symptoms like nausea, vomiting, or passed out goes second. So there's those ICD-10 guidelines you'll use more than anything. And I work real hard on explaining those just in the same simple format as I do here with these hernias, for sure. Of course, real life is always miles apart. Yeah, just like with even when I did degree in nursing and went out into the field and really, stuck my first patient or delivered my first baby, there is nothing in none of those books that prepared me for none of that. Not a word. I can't imagine. No, no, no. You just watch one, do one, and then you teach one. So they just throw you to fire. Throw you to the fire. Yeah. It is a lot of overload. If you're about to start a coding course, what you need is the practice questions. Save every single one from every chapter, every quiz, every anything. Work on those. Those are your bread and butter. All those lectures, just play them in the background while you're washing dishes, cleaning house, whatever you're doing, on the car rides. Listen to them, but don't start making index cards and trying to remember all that information. You've got a lifetime to learn coding, and it's all going to change before you even get certified and get out the door. What you need to do is just pass the CPC exam. And to do that, you don't need a course. You can self-study, and you just need to, and what I like to do, and what I think is more beneficial, is just learn what you need to pass the exam from the exam's point of view. And that's what I'm teaching you. Because when you get in the real life, real job coding, they'll teach you everything else you need to do for that practice, for sure. You just need that certificate to get your foot in the door. My professor said you have to look at the different insurance companies because they are different. They are different, and the different regions are different too. Like what California bills and does is totally different from Arizona. Even though we have all the same books, HIPPICs and CPTs, we bill totally different there, totally different from the rest of the United States, which is interesting. But each region is totally different too. So that's, yep. Can you become an auditor with just a CCA? Yes, ma'am. Miss Starr, you sure can. AAPC just recently gave away the free course for CPMA, but technically it was a 3-month course from 2021 that they gave away that you only have 12 weeks to complete, and it's only 6 chapters from that full course, but you get the practice exam questions, I think, right, in the study guide or something. So yeah, that with the CCA can get you into auditing for sure.
I found one secret and I went to here. And guess what? John just told us what Worcestershire sauce. It's Washer Sister sauce. That is what John.
What? You don't have a damn sister. Travis, you need to go through their pens in the cabinet over there and check some expiration dates to do the change. I bought you more yogurt in the fridge. What? Oh my Lord, sorry, my children. My children. They were demanding to ask me silly questions or to tell me certain silly things. I didn't even need to have this CPC to be in my profession as an auditor. I didn't even need my auditor certificate. I just ended up into this position by volunteering to do a lot of things. When COVID hit, I decided to get my CPC just to be getting it. Wasn't anything I was required to do or needed to do. And I even work with home health agencies, helping them pass their audits too, along with my California group too. So you can definitely get into auditing with the CCA. If you have a long-standing position in a company, that's one thing. But if you want to be an auditor for a brand new company, get that CPMA with your CCA, and you can self-study for it. I've got the practice exam questions for it, and you can pass that one too. Hey, Miss Jones. Hey, Mel. All right, glad you make it back safe. Good to see you guys. Thanks for the follows. Thanks for the hearts and tapping the screen. I failed my state exam. State, does your state have its own coding exam? Allie, I decided that coding is not for me, and I started the nursing program in the spring. You can always come back to coding too as a nurse later, and you can eventually get your coding degree. And as a nurse with coding experience, you can be like me and write your ticket for whatever you wanted to do. You could do case management, work from home for Blue Cross Blue Shield, and audit charts, because you'll have your clinical side too. But good luck in the nursing program. I've had several nurses come to me and get their coding certificate and move on to those type of jobs too. Oh, your certification exam? Yeah. It's challenging to pass for sure. It's easier if you think about it from the exam point of view. You go straight to the answers and answer the questions based off the answers and what those answers, which are the CPT codes, need out of the question to be the right answer. And that's all you look for. It's very traumatic to look at all of this wording and read that entire question first and then go to those codes and try to figure out what the answers are. It's impossible to do. But I think it's way easier to go and look for similarities. We've got the same code down twice. The only difference was whether we added mesh or not. And then go look in your, and then if you have a bunch of do nots or do's, then a lot of times you can answer it without even looking at the question. But I'm also making notes tonight from these questions next to the codes, so that if I ever see these codes again, I'll know, hey, those codes already include mesh. These don't include mesh. It's okay to add mesh code to these codes. Great. And then the next time I see them, I'll have full confidence on the ones that don't need mesh included as a separate code. And then I'll have confidence in the ones that I know for a fact it's just the code by itself without the mesh. So no matter what the exam question says. All right, we've got all 95, so we know we're incisional. So, and they're all different. We've got two that are super close, are 66 and 65. Gosh, my kids are making up so much noise out there. Sorry. I don't know what happened. What happened? Why did we go up so high? These touch screens, sometimes they get wonky. And then we've got our 61 and 60. So I kind of divide those up into two different sections. Some include mesh, some don't. We'll find out from our do nots. Let's go back a page to our 401 again. We know that our 60 is okay to add the mesh to. So is our 61. We can use the mesh there if we needed to. Our 65 and 66, we haven't seen those questions yet. But those two don't have any mesh listed beside them, which is interesting, which they probably could, since the other codes could. Now, our differences between our codes, these are recurrent, right? Means they're often repaired a hernia that keeps coming back. And then these are initial, right? So let's just see what kind of hernia we got. Is this the first time? And it is going to include mesh. We got a long procedure here. They are sneaky how, whoops. They are sneaky how they don't put similar codes together, correct? There's a note on page 400 underneath the fourth paragraph about the mesh. Never mind, the code was for 4650. That's confusing. They do get very confusing. Tons of confusing for sure. Which one is our ventral? Our 60 code and 65 are both ventral. That's our 61 and 66. Yeah. This patient has pain, large mass, doesn't look like a large ventricle and hernia. Repair is recommended for her. Doesn't look like that's reoccurrent, does it? It doesn't look like it's reoccurrent to me. I don't see anything in this long case that says anything about it being reoccurrent. So I'd get rid of those two. And our differences between our 60 and 61 is just whether it was strangled or incarcerated is all. Was it reductible? What type of hernia did they find? The hernia defect was actually relatively small. Another one that was small. She just had poor quality of tissue. Her skin's probably just falling apart as they were trying to repair it. Midline. So I don't see anything that says it was super nasty hernia, right? So I'd pick D. Also, a lot of times, if it's a difference between one code and another code, one code has a higher number value than the other code. It's usually the smaller code anyway, number-wise. This one already, yep, we get to add the mesh to it. Yeah. So all you got to find is just the description of how the hernia looked in the middle of the procedure to figure out if you're strangled or incarcerated. They had a lot of stuff to deal with. But if it was just a tiny little bulge, they did use a Kug gel patch, which was neat for the rectus muscles. Is that our mesh, I wonder? A medium-sized patch was placed posteriorly, secured in place with Vicro. And right here, yep, the Kug patch with multiple blah, blah, blah. With Vicro, the mesh was unable to be seen as it was located somewhat of a sandwich of tissue anterior low. So I think that's an AKA term for mesh. Krugel patch. We can write that down in our notes somewhere. Near these two, the 60, we can add, I don't know what that is, K. I love proper names because AAPC seems to keep them. In their questions and use them, especially when they're proper names. It's named after somebody. I know it's getting late for you guys. Yep. It is hernia mesh patch. I had to go look it up just to see if that was an AKA term for a patch. I didn't do hernia pairs, but there's lots of lawsuits about it, about them failing, so that's cool. So that is, if you ever see the word, I think of Freddy Krueger for some reason, Q gel patch, that is a mesh for hernias. Because just in case they don't say mesh, but they say that patch, then you know that's a mesh. And you need to add the 68 code. We can go to our 68 code, the 495682, and we can put an AKA on top of that too. AKA KUGEL patch. So that we've got that also written next to that one too. What else do I got? I'm more surgeries, more hernias. Oh my gosh. So I got 94 Lonely Bird in there. What's the 94s? What are those? Those are repairs. They're like hernioplasty, graphies, or removals, those kind of things. And then those are the hernia repairs, or the 95s. What are we doing? We're doing a hernia. Inguinal heart with placement of mesh. Are we open or lap? I know we're not laparoscopic. I just want to see it say that we went anesthesia, left groin, drepped, prepped, sterile, standard skin incision. Love to see it. So I don't think we're going to be the 9496. Right? What is that? It is a repair, but it's full-term infant, age 6 months or whatever. This is a 50-year-old, so yeah, we can get rid of that. What's our differences between our OO? Y'all already figured it out. Our OO, our 05, and our 20. Yeah, 00 and 05 are way closer. Initial, 5 years. Yep, we've got 5 years or older. The 00 is 6 months younger than 5 years, so we can't do that one either for a 50-year-old. Our 20, it says any age, it says reductible. So does 05. They're both reductible. They're both inguinal, but 20 is reoccurrent. This is a repeat, reoccurrent, and this is initial. That's the main important thing there. Reoccurrent or initial. That's all we had to worry about. We can look through the thing to see if they used anything interesting. They got a Penrose drain. I love those main terms. They used a Perflix plug, whatever that means. They did use a regular word mesh, which isn't a fancy word. Anything else worth it on? Normal saline. Blah, blah, blah. Nothing interesting. Those are the only other things. There was Primrose drain. That's cool. Anesthesia using an LMA. And Groin was prepped with ChloraPrep. Do they have any position? Like what position they put the patient into? Sometimes they see that a bunch. External oblique muscles, huh? It didn't say much. Placed in anesthesia. They didn't say what position they put the patient in, but sometimes they're big on those in some of their practice questions and stuff. Where inferior, anterior, inferior. Prefix plug is implanted mesh. Really? That's another term for mesh? Nice. It's written in there twice, I think, because I remember having to stop it from trying to fix the spelling of the word. That's cool. That's cool. So we can put Perflex plug is the mesh. Must be included on this one, huh? Fix, aka mesh. We had inguinal hernia, age reductible. Penrose drain. She had a left inguinal hernia repaired. Placement tape, that was all that was. The surgery was that. And we can make sure that you put down that the 05, right, includes mesh. It's mesh implant for inguinal hernias. Cool. I even like the drain that they used. Oh, this one. You know, the last couple of times I've done some lives, we've worked on in integumentary these breast removal, like cyst, or put in the blue dye or markers, those 1900 codes. I found another new one tonight, so I wanted to go over one of these. Although, 3 more minutes. Okay, we won't get to everything. I've got some more stuff that we'll do on Wednesday then. Let's do this one because I like this one because it's always interesting, and they always ask these on the CPC exam, the differences between the 20 and the 25. So we're on page 125 of the CPT code book, and I thought we might be able to find some more AKA terms to write next to these CPT codes since this one was new. So our differences is our 20 is removal of tissue along with the ducts or areola to remove areas around the breast tissue. The 25, same thing, but it's either done after placement of a marker was already there, or we leave one behind for chemotherapy or radiation to know where to go with the beams and stuff like that. So let's see if we see anything that is saying anything about a marker being there, or any dyes, or if they just removed a bunch of tissue. So we do have a curved incision, inferior and medial. They found a nodule, 1 centimeter, whatever, and they removed it. And they excised it. Yep. No signs of whatever else. They vicroed. That's it. Sponge count. This was just a nodule of the left breast, is all they removed. 20 says it excises cyst, fibroangiomas, and other benign or malignant tumors, the adherent breast tissue ducts, areola, open procedure, male or female, one or more lesions. 25 says identified by preoperative placement of radiological markers, open single lesion. So what do you guys think? What was the answer for the other one? Oh, it's the 05. I had it right. It's just the 05 because it's not reoccurrent. This isn't a reoccurrent one, so we can't do the 20. It's the initial. They removed just the tumor, so this one I would believe would be 20, wouldn't it? Because I don't see anything about blue dyes, methylacetylene, or stains. I don't see any wire markers or seeds left behind. Looks like they just removed. That's it. And then they did a little electrocautery, which is included in this one. If you don't have that down, it's good to put that underneath the 20. That electrocautery is included. Sometimes they can trick you up and make you think that you've got to add it or something. Included. Electrocautery is included. Yep, our 20 is our answer. So some of the other ones I've got to go through is otitis media surgery. I got a case on that one. A new one I've not ever seen before. I got elevated prostate and some things going on with that. Multiple CPT codes on that one. And then I had another perirectal abscess. Exciting stuff. And then I have another malignancy lesions, those 1700s y'all are always having to deal with. A new one, example on that one. And this is that, the L3, L4, L whatever crap that are impossible to figure out. Do I do ×1, ×2, or no timeses? What do I do there? I got one of those. And the E&M for the child in the ER, again, knowing whether we can do CPR and bill for all that mess or not. And are we doing critical care? Are we doing ER visit? Are we doing peds NICU? So we'll do those on Wednesday and anything else that y'all want. But we got a ton of hernias done today. I hope that was helpful for sure. Yeah, no, it's not malignant at all. And it doesn't really matter. You know, the diagnosis doesn't really matter on those breast things. We can remove whatever because it can be malignant or not. It doesn't matter. Or it could be benign. That 20 will remove anything. This ended up just being a nodule because our CPT descriptor says other benign or malignant whatevers. So 20 is our answer there. But I hope this has been helpful. Super handy dandy having all the hernias on there. I did post another YouTube video of a repeat live from last week. It's up, but we did lose one from last week. Sorry. TikTok didn't save it. Hopefully they'll do better tonight. And we will do, oh yeah, tonight's Sunday night, right? Why am I saying Wednesday? We're going to do another live tomorrow night because it's Monday, right? New week. So I've got, yep, I don't have, yep, we're doing a live Monday night and Wednesday night and Friday night this week. Yep, back on a normal routine. So I'm just trying to get some help to get to all the email addresses. So I'm trying to figure out how to give somebody access to the email account so they can help me out to get back to everybody in more timely manner. So I'm working on that this week and doing some tutoring, and the boys will be gone to school. I don't have any audits for work coming up until October, so we're going to be good for the month of August and September. So if you need tutoring, let me know, and I can probably get you in those 2 months for sure. October, it gets tricky, so I'll get busy down then. So, and plus the new books come out again. So audit season starts October and runs through March of every year. And if you do get your CPCs, that is always a good time to get hired on with one of the health plans as an auditor, because they need to hire more hands in charts. You can work remotely from home and help them look for missing records. It's mostly date of births are wrong, or they use their husband's insurance to get the mammogram and didn't use their own, or had a health fair to do it. It just doesn't come to their health plan for some reason. So those are always good places to get jobs, especially from October to March, because every health plan has to do an audit come March, and they start working on them in October. And it's a good time to get hired on, at least temporarily. If they like you, they'll keep you past March if they can find an opening for you, for sure. So it's a really good time to get your resume worked up. Be sure you change your resume to match every time you want to apply at a different place. Don't send one resume for everything. Be sure you update it to match whatever qualifications they're looking for in some way or fashion. And then get through the interview process by looking at Glassdoor at the interview questions. And then once you get on, be creative. Ask me how you audit. I can help you out so you can look like a superstar, and maybe you can keep the job after the auditing season is over with and just stay on with the company. So work towards getting those CPCs, please. By October would be a really good time, or by November, so that the health plans will be scrambling to get bodies in some seats so they can get every single patient's chart, no matter what. All commercial and Medicare patients, all of them, no matter what health plan, have to be audited. Every single patient, for every single diagnosis and procedures. So that has to happen starting in October. So like I said, it's a really good time to get hired on. Even if it's temporary, it's worth it so you can get your foot in the door. So let's get these CPCs done. By November would be a really great time, and get y'all into this career because it's super fun. I love it anyway. And I've been working remote from home since 2013, well before COVID and stuff. So my company was progressive and all that. So that's pretty handy dandy. That's a good thing about medicine. Let's see. I took my final that prepared me for the CPC. I have 150 questions and rationale. Great practice. Yes. And don't forget, search those questions for rationale or words to add to the CPT codes and other things. Go look and see why 26 is not the right answer. And then you'll notice why 20 is the right answer, because there's certain keywords in that CPT code that match this. You'll notice what words are outliers that are different in 26. Mark those up. Make sure you notice those the next time you see those codes. Also go see why 02 is not the right answer. Super handy dandy to go through and figure out why the wrong answers are wrong, along with writing correct terms that go with the correct answer. Noticing patterns too, like I did today on these hernias, that the 96s are always under laparoscopic and the 95s are always under the open surgeries. All the CPT codes do this. There are distinct differences between those two codes in whatever section you're dealing with. Even if it's in neurosurgery, you'll have distinctions in those numbers like that. In those two digits, the second and the third digits will run in sequences of some sort of difference like that. They'll always keep those two digits in some area, and then those two digits are always be in some other area. There's a different types of surgeries are related to the different numbers in that second and third digits. I know that's a lot to think about, but I just find it fascinating to find those, and it makes the learning process or remembering laparoscopic's always the 96, or in the OB and delivery, 94 is always the natural birth, the 95 is the C-section, and then the 96 is a combo of both. Super handy dandy. So I know those second and third digits is the first thing I look through for those questions to figure out which ones am I keeping, which ones am I getting rid of. There's a lot more of his examples like that in the book. So I'll keep on working on showing you all of them I can. All right, guys. I hope this has been helpful. I swear I'm getting off here now. And I will see y'all again tomorrow night, 6:30 Arizona time zone. And I'll post the repeats on YouTube if at all possible. If they do record, please. Thank you, TikTok. Good night, guys. 25 of you left. Good night.